Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Extreme Studios from the Pinus Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I also have from Central Florida the young Professor Pixel, and also from the great Midwest RDV himself. And tonight we have, by customer request, Dead Heat, Treat Williams, 1988, and of course, Saturday Night Live comedy icon, best buddy of Eddie Murphy. For those of you that know him, that would be Joe Piscopo. Gentlemen, it's been a very long time since I've seen this film, and I watched it, and it brought back a lot of strong emotions because a lot of times we review things, and sometimes we let our heart decide whether we like it or we don't. But yet our brain says this is a good film because, and it sucks because, and it's just like that annoying English teacher would make you try to cover all bases of it because they wanted you to just think. For this movie, I had zero thinking to do because I knew exactly what was going to happen, even though I haven't probably seen this in 30 or 40 years. It was such a treat to see Vincent Price there. And of course, Kolchak himself, Mr. Night Stalker Darren McGavin was in here, which, god damn it, does he chew up the scenery. And I got to say, the biggest surprise for me in this movie was not how weird and odd it is, because it's an odd film. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just different, especially for its time. We'll get into that here for historically speaking. But for me, Treat Williams, damn, what a good actor he is in here. But Darren McGavin's so good. This is just an odd movie with weird performances, horrible editing. Um, it's a bizarro idea that you could take in a lot of different ways. It reminds me of The Serpent and the Rainbow that did this a little bit more seriously early on. But we'll talk about that probably some other time here on the Extreme Movie Show. And I want to go around and ask you guys your initial takes, but I also want you to tell everybody if it's your first viewing of the movie. Let's start with you, RDB. Age before beauty, Pixel. That's how it works.
I guess so.
Just
I'm
saying.
glad that you find me beautiful.
I just gotta say that I am beautiful, but I am a little older than I am too. So, all right, this is a first time viewing for me. Never even heard of the movie until you brought it up. Well, we did the Treat Williams. Was it like last Sunday?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I did not know this was even a movie. But then again, a part of me thinks of it. I may have saw this cover on the VHS at Blockbuster back in the 90s because it looks familiar with the shield, with the corpse the zombie holding the shield. I think I've come across it before, but I just never watched it. I watched this on Tubi TV. It's free to watch there with ads.
Great print, by the way. Tubi, absolutely.
I recommend that you have an ad blocker installed so you can skip all the annoying commercials.
Yep.
And honestly, I was on the auction last night over at Comics, and like Angleton and some are saying like, well, it's not really that good of a movie. I'm thinking like, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, because sometimes you find hidden gems, and this, I guess you got to say, it is a hidden gem for me, because I did not know I'd love this as much as I loved it. It is stupid humor, but it was in the style of kind of like an Evil Dead 2 sense. You just love the humor. And then it's a surprise actor. We had Vincent Price in here.
Yep.
Wow. Darren McGavin. I had no idea because I didn't watch a trailer or nothing. I just went into this blind. Treat Williams is just a phenomenal actor in this movie. Joe Piscopo was kind of an idiot. He was like an Andrew Dice Clay. He's just there. He's kind of like the.
You're right. It's like he was a PG Dice Clay. You're right.
He's the meathead. And I love Treat Williams' performance in this. Even as he's dying, and it's believable, and it just, especially with his interaction with the ladies. He's a little ladies man in this. Lindsay Frost, who plays Randy James in here, she's the one that's supposed to like the spokeswoman for this Dante.
She is awful.
I liked her. I liked her. Well, yeah, when especially in the bathroom scene when she just deteriorated.
She's got the Theranos voice where she's trying to talk like a guy.
No. But I gotta say though, this was actually really, really good. Looking on IMDb, it's a 6.1 out of 10. Mm-hmm. Sure. Maybe some of the newer people who've seen this, for the first time, younger people, and I can't really say Pixel anymore because Pixel is getting close to his 30s.
What? Oh, well, I'm halfway there.
Yeah. With that being said, Pixel, I mean, you're younger than I am. You're 25 or 24. One of the two.
Maybe in between. Who knows?
What's your take, Pixel?
3/4.
You 3/4. That's right. So my thoughts are you finished, Figman?
Until I splurge some more later on, sure.
Okay, yeah. That's right. Well, I'm going to do some splurging now. I went in blind too. First time viewing. Never even heard of it. I loved this movie. It is great. It is on the same level as Fright Night is for me.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, like the effects in it are like they're gruesome and great. I love seeing it. And sometimes they did get stupid, especially with the cow body that got reanimated coming out of the freezer and splitting open. Oh God. The ducks attacking the one. And then the skeleton head of the woman talking. But other than like that aside, it's just I think the main reason that it got such a negative reaction is because it's not really a happy ending.
No.
Everybody dies. Like, it is dead heat. Everyone's dead. But you're having such a good time with it, you know? So maybe it's just a little too light while being so dark. Well, dark is a word choice that is used. But no, I loved watching this movie. It kind of makes up for y'all watching Fright Night 2 without me, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, life sucks, and then you die, and that doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, and all that crap. But well, what's interesting about Dead Heat, I want to give it a little bit of perspective here, because what Jim's saying in chat, I think, is spot on about nowhere's near a good movie, but an interesting film, or something along those lines. And I agree, because we kind of half joke with Father's Day about Commando being the transition film, the transition movies from what they were up to that point in the 80s, a lot more fisticuffs and ninjas and stuff, to just guns and blowing stuff up bigger is better, and with not as much thought or creativity put into it. And for me, by the time you get to 1987, 88, these action films are few and far behind, and now they're there. You still, of course, had your Van Dammes coming on, your Jean-Claudes and all that. It's like they were there, but you could feel that things were changing. I don't know how to explain it other than you started to see Arnold get into comedy. Chuck Norris was transitioning himself. That's Chuck. Please don't be offended by that comment. I know it came out wrong.
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, I mean, but look, the thing with this movie is when it came out in '88, this would have been a lot bigger if it came out, I think, a few years earlier, because I think it's just trying to have fun, and I think that's the magic of it, because there's some scenes in here, and I know we have joked about the that's by the way, that's Kung Fu's father, or Master Po, or whatever like that, who's talking there. So if you close your eyes and listen to his voice as he's telling them all about life and death being the same, and then he sends everybody crazy because he puts all the animals awake with electricity, and we see like the carcasses fight. That's kind of a cool visual effect, as campy as it looks. But it's kind of creepy, because we get a scene a little later on where the PR chick, the horrible actress, where we find out, oh, she's a zombie too, and then she just like rots right in front of the dude in like 10 seconds. You're like, what the fuck? And it's kind of it's like dark. No, but then you got Joe Piscopo making panty jokes, and Joe Piscopo. Let me say this: Joe was a great person on Saturday Night Live. Great to feed off of Eddie Murphy. They had wonderful chemistry. Left and did his own thing. He does other things now, radio show and other things. So for him to be in this movie, when people saw him, they're like, fuck, you got jacked, bro. You can't act. There was this lot of anti-Joe Piscopo stuff. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad. I'm just telling you that's what it was. So when people saw him in this film, they said, well, you suck. It doesn't work because he sucks. And then when you got Treat Williams there trying to act like Clint Eastwood and stuff, you're like, yeah, Treat, you're a little dude, man. I'm not buying it. Then you're watching this movie and you're like, fuck, you are smooth, Treat. Just you getting the chick a cup of coffee. It's like, damn it, how do you do that? You're just so fucking good. I can't be mad at you. And it was a weird time for this movie to come out, and it was a weird movie nonetheless. So it's probably the right time when it came out, because if you're in on the joke, it's a hell of a lot of fun. But if you're watching and going, I don't get it. Is it supposed to be a comedy? Is it supposed to be buddy cop? Is it supposed to be serious, romantic? Because it's not romantic.
No.
What the hell is it trying to be? Is it like They Live a little bit? I don't know. It's an interesting concept where they have the big 80s shootout and they make fun of the shootout here with all the bullets and everybody dying in the first 5 minutes, right? It's a complete spoof of everything from the 60s, 70s, and 80s in movies and television.
It's
You know?
for me, my take is comedy action.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. A little bit of horror. And when I mean by horror, I mean like gore. Because when you see this,
Yes.
she dissolves. And I gotta say, that scene when he sees her like dissolve, he already knows he has 12 hours before he just rots away like a puddle of ooze. He was told originally by the girl who did that. And he at that time he only had 6 hours left, and he's freaking out.
Right.
But man, like when he finally goes throughout the movie, you can see him. He's a guy. He's like, it's hard. It's like, how am I supposed to live a life, time, within 12 hours? You feel for the guy. You feel,
Yeah.
And I love Treat Williams. Like, I wish he had more big Hollywood roles, but with the ones he got, he nailed it. And I'll never
But
say
he
that
could take B-level shit and make it good.
And in that sense, I like him as much as I like Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell can take anything he does and actually make it worth watching. It could be the worst B movies. He's done it. And I just love his delivery. Same with Treat Williams. Treat Williams can go from... He's the guy. He looks like he would do like, movies like Substitute, where it's kind of like a drama. But then you start then he goes to this with Joe Piscopo, who I never really knew who Joe Piscopo was. I just know that he was always being mocked on Saturday Night Live.
Joe Piscopo was a lot more talented than what people give him credit for. And for a couple of years there, and I'm dead serious when I say that, after the first few years of Saturday Night Live, when it first debuted, there was a big heave-ho with whoever owned the studios, NBC or whatever at the time. And they got a bunch of new people in. And it was him and Eddie Murphy, and everybody else bombed. It did not work. And he and Eddie Murphy carried it. And that's how Eddie Murphy skyrocketed it. Seriously.
So we talk about how this movie is like a spoof of all the other ones. I go to The Golden Child, and that has some creepy scenes in it, with the fake like CG lighting like that too.
Right.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Complete spoof.
Yeah, and I honestly I throw this movie up there being in the same caliber. Like I said, it is a hidden gem of mine, and like this is a buddy. It's like almost like a buddy cop, where you have it honestly is. You have the one who's kind of a butthead, and the other one who's actually serious. I almost like it. It's like a prerequisite for Lethal Weapon, which I believe came out a year later.
Earlier, right? Yeah, I thought it was 87. Yeah,
I'd have to look it up, but yeah, it's like I look at his weakness as a mixture of all those movies, like Lethal Weapon, The Golden Child, with Eddie Murphy, and like just throwing all of them together, and it's just like this is what you get. And honestly, I enjoyed it. It's a first time watch. When I watch it, maybe a couple years later, maybe I'll have a different opinion, but you feel for the guy. But also, it's the funny scenes in there. He's like, I gotta stop. I gotta paint my face. He's like, how does women do this and stuff? I love the little scenes like that, little stupid scenes. And he's trying to put makeup on while he's driving. I'm like a woman would do. And but the most horrific things is, as I said, when he's in there, he's after he gets shot multiple times, and he goes in and she's like, here's a change of clothes. The subtle humor, you see him, he's like, I gotta wear this clothes. He looks like he stepped out of Miami Vice.
That's exactly why they did that. They're making fun of Miami Vice. Absolutely,
yes.
They are.
And then when he's combing his hair's coming out, and then he closes puts a comb inside of there, the vanity mirror, closes it up, and then he sees a glimpse of himself as a decayed zombie, and he freaks him out. Like this movie goes, it's between serious and comedy, and like an action. It's I love it. It's the perfect blend. Like I said, when it comes to Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 2 has some serious moments in there too as well. But obviously, I guess this didn't do so well at the box office.
People went in. A thing that happened in the 80s is you could take a movie like E.T. I always use E.T. as an example, or like The Goonies. You automatically know what it is when you're going in there, and checks all the boxes, gives you what you want, and you're happy. You don't care. Any other film that might be a little bit different from the norm of any of this patriotism and feel good stuff, and there, if it caught you off guard, people were like, "Huh? I don't get it." And so it was just one of those things where we're getting lots of sequels everywhere, and then, like I say, you get an odd movie like this that kind of is his own thing. That would be regulated to like a late night viewing or midnight movie sort of thing. And Pixel, there was a time when people would actually go see certain movies at midnight because they wouldn't play them any other time. And I don't know with your bedtime, if you're able to do that, but being the younger person on this panel, I'm curious as to what other perspectives about this film you'd like to give us.
Hey, screw you. I miss midnight showings. I miss them so much. When a movie would premiere at midnight, it was one of the greatest things because just because we're going out, everybody's up late because we're all wanting to see this film so much that we're going to a midnight premiere. But now people have to go to bed.
So, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this. This is the director who did Commando.
Yeah, I know, right?
The Punisher.
Yep.
Predator 2, and then Electric Boogaloo in 2014. Until the story, and then Piranha. I said, so it makes sense why it was kind of like had the comedy as much as Commando, which was like 3 years before this. And then he probably saw 87 just before this movie came out. This Lethal Weapon. He saw that. He's like, you know what? Why don't I combine these movies? And just go all balls out and just because he wasn't.
Balls out?
Yeah. And also, this guy's I was looking up on him. He's like, Mark Goldblatt is Academy Award nominated American film editor and director, president. He's basically he studied at the University of Wisconsin. So he studied my whole state. He's from the Midwest. He's a Midwest boy. Represented. I gotta say, honestly, this is probably one of the best films I've seen in a while. It's refreshing to go back to the 80s and find a movie that I've heard about and watch it. We watched one before this. I forgot what it was, but it was with the Terminator motorcycle cop. I can't remember now the name of it, but like I said, this is a hidden gem. And if you've never watched it, you have nothing to lose. You can watch it for free in Tubi. You're not paying a single dime. And if you don't like it, let us know down in the comments down below, and reasons why you didn't like it.
Well, it is different, and it's like I say, it came out at an interesting time there, and on my Twitter feed, for example, I can't go 1 week without John Carpenter trending, and everyone always wants to talk about, well, this movie debuted, 40 years ago on this date or whatever it is, and so like the most recent one here because of the summer is. And it got crushed by E.T., to use an example, and that would be The Thing. And of course, people now think about, it's probably his best movie, his masterpiece. And there'll be a lot of John Carpenter spooge talk and all that before he croaks off here about what his best are. And people will act like they've discovered him for the first time and all that. And, I kind of don't like that. So even though we do our respects, like with Treat Williams or other people, we just try to stick mostly to the movies and what we like about them. And I think for a movie like this, people forget about Joe Piscopo. They don't realize he was literally one of the anchors Saturday Night Live. Back when MTV actually played music videos, they didn't call them disc jockeys or DJs, the short term for the radio term. They called them VJs for video jockey. One of them is in here, so that's like an inside joke. There's a lot of little, winks and nods in here that you don't get. And again, I go back to Darren McGavin as the Night Stalker. It's one of the first shows that we've covered here on Xtreme TV, as we like to say. We covered every episode of that. And the guy's just so damn good, and he's just got this mischievous, this intelligence, this wittiness behind his eyes, this sparkle. You're like, fuck, this guy's. You knew he was the bad guy, and you didn't really care. You were just like, how is it going to be there? And then they throw at you Vincent Price in bed, laboring over something. And Vincent Price had a resurrection in the 80s, basically, with his horror career, from Thriller to this and a couple other things. And to see him going, fuck, now he's in it. So they did this. They said, you know what? We're going to give you a shootout at the beginning with about a 50-person body count. We're going to kill one of the main dudes off because that's a plot of it. And and as absurd as we do it, we're like, this is dumb. This is only in the 80s could we do this, or maybe a canon film. You sit there and you go, well, wait a minute. Why would you have zombies rob a jewelry store? And then you get intrigued because it's like a little mystery. Well,
Yeah.
is it something to do with the diamonds? Is it just simply money? What's going on? And so there's a little bit of this police procedural in there, not much, of course, but enough where you're like, it's just it kind of fits. And I'm really surprised that they were able to kind of juggle a few of these different things because, like I say, it's very odd. The feeling you want to just treat it like a buddy cop where it's one note all the way through, but then you realize half the stuff Joe Piscopo says just isn't funny. It's like not off-putting. It just doesn't work. I don't know how to explain it. And Treat playing the heavy, you'd expect it to have been different, but it's not. It's very bizarre, and thank God it is because that adds to it, which a lot of times that makes it not work.
Yeah, I was looking at this guy Terry Black, who really doesn't have much of a credits for writing stuff. He wrote some stuff after this. He wrote from Tales of the Crypt, a couple episodes of that, and some other things. No picture, nothing with this guy, but apparently he's on Twitter. But I don't know if it's really him or not. But I don't know. I guess it's kind of weird because everybody had pseudonyms for their who their writing credits, and I guess this guy just didn't make it big,
Yep.
or he just happens. But never seen Piranha. Nah, I mean I've watched The Punisher, and that kind of has a similar feel to it. It's a little more serious, but there is some kind of jokes there and there. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Commando is full on joke with this. Like I said, this really felt like Commando. Now that I know it's the same director, the bullets nonstop. It is. I love it more.
And again, the rules you were talking about before in the '80s, unlimited bullets. They're sitting there. Treat's got there. He's got the '80s earring on and all that, and he's got the mullet thingy. And him and the other dude are shooting each other, just walking right towards each other. It's so stupid.
And I thought he was gonna die in the bank robbery or the jewelry store thing, because he gets in the car, steals the lieutenant's car, drives it, and shoots first, and then he's going by. I'm thinking like he would have been shot up right there and there, but then he finally just runs the car into the guy, and then and it's literally. This was the weapon where they get chewed out by the police captain, and 18 unpaid car tickets. I love how it comes back later in the movie. He's like, we got a car ticket. He's like, yeah, what do I care? I'm dead.
And they have the loud
Yeah.
police sergeant, which is the thing, Lethal Weapon and other stuff too, getting chewed out. Which of course even Schwarzenegger himself and would make fun of that one of his other movies with the guy's ears steaming or whatever in The Last Action Hero. Yeah, there's one scene in here where Treat Williams' death, where if you're not sure what kind of film this is, this will sum it up. They go into this place to kind of investigate something. Of course, they get run off by the security guard that's checking out a penthouse, which they actually show. It's a penthouse. It's an adult magazine for you Pornhub aficionados. And this lady comes out, and of course she's basically, just whitewashing everything. And well, let me give you a tour around it and blah blah. What you're asking for, this drug's not really a big deal, and it's blah blah blah. And you see Treat making goo eyes. The guys are kind of like elbowing each other in the background, like, "Hey, she's hot. I want her." No, And then of course Joe's like, "Oh, I gotta go wee wee" or something like that, and so Treat's walking off, macking on her, and and Joe sneaks back, and he's gonna go into the only authorized personnel door. You're like, okay, this is stupid. The old decoy thing never works. He's gonna go do it, but when he gets into this fight, he ends up getting locked in her. It's a decompression chamber, and he friggin' dies in front of you. And you're like, fuck. They go from goofing off kind of stupid hygiene, stuff to Treat dying right there, and you're like, fuck, that's kind of dark. And they even show a puppy in a cage for a split second in the scene just to give you the idea of, yeah, this is where he put the puppies to sleep, So the writing is set up to make you kind of like laugh, but then kind of go this way with it. And it's kind of herky-jerky with it. And if you're not familiar with that or used to it, it's going to be a little off-putting. Like I said, Jim, mentioned it earlier on, and I agree with that because that's the essence of the movie. And if you don't get it or you don't like it, it's going to take you by surprise. I promise you that. Pixel, please speak.
Speak. What to say? I want to actually go ahead and get into the ending bit. Like I said, obviously, it doesn't end well for everybody. But
would you call it a Christian ending, sir?
Well, they do walk into the light. You know something? I think this could be the end of a beautiful friendship. I love that.
That's a good line.
That was such a great line.
Yeah.
And Vincent Price only has really a small part in this film, and most of that is at the end where he's saying, "No, what are you doing? I can give you anything you want. Immortality, riches. Just don't let the machine get destroyed." They look at each other and they just demolish it. No.
And then he just runs off. It's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Where's the sequel?
They walk off. Well, he only had like what 15 minutes before he was going to melt down or something.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, the end was there, but it didn't need a sequel. It was really, I just think it was so much fun. Just like Fright Night, I don't know why this doesn't get as much love as that, because it's like the same vein.
Because Fright Night, honestly, because Fright Night had a sexual element to it, even though it wasn't really hardcore. There was a certain sensuality to the main character's performance.
And that's right. And the star of this one was dead, so he couldn't get a boner. I understand now.
No, treats the man, but this doesn't have that to it. There's no chemistry at all. It wasn't, him seducing the kid's mom. I mean, come on, we invited our neighbor in. Yeah, Charlie, now that I'm here, maybe I'll just show up uninvited. Well, with your mom's permission, of course. It was inside humor, right? Just different. But there was that element of this guy's seductive.
Honestly, I do think this movie has a cult following. It's just that you will not see it on Twitter, because Twitter is full of kids who are young who've never heard of this movie, or only focus on video games or Fortnite or memes and all that stuff. Our society has become stupid. So like you will come across this, I think, more so on Facebook. Facebook has a lot of different communities for different things, where Twitter just started their own communities now, groups you can do for different things. So if you look in their communities, you might be able to find something, or you can even create one. So we need the Fright Night fan cast, or whatever we call it, Fright Night fandom. But honestly, this movie is great. I don't understand how people can say like, oh, this is horrible. I don't think, because Rob, you mentioned like, oh, it's bad, but it's good. Like, I don't think it's even bad.
There's several scenes of the editing where like Treat's standing up, then he's sitting down, or his ties, he's got the simple forehand knot and it's off to the side. Then the next scene, it's a different color and it's straight, and it's the same scene. It's
I did not even notice that. Crap. I didn't even notice it, and who knows? It could have been, It could have been a nod. That could have been a nod to Men in Tights. Men in Tights. Remember his mole kept moving around every time you've seen it. It might have been on purpose. Who knows?
Maybe.
Because they definitely knew what they're doing here. They purposely made it hokey.
Yeah,
but not too hokey. Enough where you can act. There's enough.
It wasn't accidental.
Yeah. So like I said, at the end, them walking in the thing, he's like, me reincarnated, like, I'll be reincarnated, as a scholar, or whatever. And Joe Piscopo is like, I want to be the seat on a girl's motorcycle or something. I was like,
I want to get reincarnated. I want to be a seat on a girl's bicycle
or something like that. I was just like, what? And that's when we go to Tumblr and we get all the weird stuff. But this movie probably is censored. It's probably shadow banned, whatever, because the fact of all the misogynist stuff he says, that Joe Piscopo says, hitting on girls, being a heterosexual male. He's a creep. So, in a sense,
do you think we'll be reincarnated? Well, yeah, there are many great things we could be reincarnated as: a doctor, an astronaut, all kinds of things. What would you want to come back? Girl's bicycle scene. Okay.
Dave's like, I was eating dinner.
That is inspirational.
So, I was funny that Dave says he was eating dinner reruns. I was eating dinner while watching this, and I had to stop when she started melting, like the witch. I was like, okay, we're just gonna skip a little bit. I don't want my food coming back up.
I'll give this one little actor a bit of props here, and then I'll get my final thoughts, and we'll go around here. But the scene that we started off talking about halfway through, where they're in Chinatown investigating what's going on, and like I say, was it Master Po or whatever, when he turns on electricity and he uses as a diversion to leave, and all the different critters that the chef is chopping up in there. You get the duck heads, you get the giant cow carcass coming
Yeah.
out, which is funny. All that stuff, that's absurd and all that. But Pixel, back when you and I did our Chuck Norris film, starting off the Extreme Movie Show,
What?
I should have said RDV. I'm sorry, Pixel. Just
Oh.
listen, because the point's what's important here, not the detail. The guy that raped Chuck Norris's wife and all that, the guy that he beat up because he stepped on his hat, that's this dude, Professor Tanaka.
Yeah,
This
Tanaka.
guy's, I think, was in that Shatner film, though, too, where Shatner was the serial whatever killer.
He's the guy who lifts the
man.
car up.
And this guy, I'm like, boy, they got everybody in here because that dude's a legit wrestler, power lifter kind of dude.
So
they got people in this film.
Even Shane Black, the guy who wrote Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
He's the patrolman.
Yeah.
Robert Picardo, you know him from Star Trek Voyager. He's the Doctor. He's also Cowboy in Inner Space. There's quite a few different people here too. Like I said, there's big names. You know, Martha Quinn. She was DJ for MTV.
Yep.
Like, is there I'm looking through more. I'm like, Beth Toussaint, she was a lab technician. She's been in a few different things, but like I said, is the guy who's also from The Wiz, Ron Taylor. He's the shootout zombie.
The Wiz.
yes, I said.
That was hot back in the day.
So I love the reception. Look at Wikipedia. See negative views from the New York Times and Los Angeles. Two cities I don't give two shits about. I think they're all upbeats, and they're all got sticks up their ass. So I wouldn't want to read anything from them. I'd rather read something from a Midwest Times, wouldn't you? Because both those cities have gone to basically escape from New York and escape from LA.
And we're using this as a way to announce our new newsletter, Xtreme News.
You'll be exploding out of your shoes.
I have a complete dossier of unstarted projects having to do with this channel once we get going here.
We did talk about
subs. Final thoughts, guys?
Dave, we did talk about Kolchak being the awesome bad guy in here. Vincent Price just coming out of nowhere, like RKO.
I was always there.
Pixel's got that pseudo swishy, Vincent Price thing down. I give him credit for that.
Now that I look at my photo, it's supposed to be Treat Williams. When he's in the ambulance, he looks more like Colin Farrell.
He does. Yeah.
It's because of how HD the picture is compared to everything else.
But honestly, I felt bad for Rebecca, Claire Carcano, the actress, because they killed her and put her in the ambulance with him. But after this, oh my gosh, does he look like Bill Paxton from that? Was it Dead Night? Or what was it called? I forgot what it was called.
The vampire one.
The vampire movie from there, and like, oh my gosh, and then I'm like, does he have an earring hanging from him? No, it's a piece of the body bag still melted to his face. And I'm just thinking, man, they're touching on so many different movies here, and that's what's great about it. It's like, this isn't like Hot Shots. This is better than Hot Shots. Hot Shots was a lame attempt to be comedy. This was actual comedies, action. It's just in the perfect blend. Treat Williams, like I said, phenomenal actor. It just deals. I can't see him not being a big time actor, but apparently, I guess Hollywood, you got to have a certain look, certain thing. I like this. Honestly, is this a movie you should be watching? The Grindhouse Pictures and all of that. This is with late night showings, watching Dead Heat, maybe some Tales from the Crypt with All Blood after this. Just this phenomenal thing. And then who was I reading up? Joe Piscopo is actually after I was reading up on him. He's actually he's a conservative talk show host now.
He's an old school Democrat and transitioned over.
There's one thing we haven't covered on here, and he was in that movie. He played and Joe Piscopo played Danny Verman. If that doesn't ring a bell, well, Johnny Got Dangerously in 1984.
Yeah,
and I'd love to cover that because I haven't watched that.
Yeah, and we've talked about that here. It definitely is an 80s film, and so Obviously, we're covering this because of Treat Williams' recent passing too, and we're thinking, well, what would be a good thing to cover? There's definitely a lot of them, and that's part of the journey that when life happens takes us as far as our selections and how we do it. So we try not to be too hardcore planned without keeping the bigger picture in mind and going with the flow. And so that's what happens here. I know Pixel, you and I have been covering Wayward Pines, finishing that up, and before we dive into something else, we'll probably throw a Bond in there before going on to a new show. But obviously, you spoke the least on this, so you've got the final mic here for your final thoughts on this movie.
Well, I mean, y'all were just. I was just listening to the conversation mostly because everything that you're saying is true. It's such a fun film. I was so happy that we saw a movie of recent history that I enjoyed this much. Because occasionally we get these slumps where some movies are like, okay, I didn't enjoy this. Oh, I'm not having fun here, but. This one is one of those that I really had a great time with. I think Treat Williams, he was fantastic as the lead. I'm a little surprised by the end, which I'm not going to say now that we have more of an audience, so they can experience it themselves. But I will say Mr. Price was excellent as ever.
What's that, RDV?
Jim Source is bringing up Undercover Blues. I think I've seen that a long time ago. It came out in 1993. I don't remember it being as funny as this, but definitely will have to check it out. And thanks for the recommendation, Jim. Yeah, guys, if you like this, if you're not subscribed watching this, please subscribe. Even if you are, share it out to other people. We've been stuck at 92. We'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers on here. And yeah, without you guys, man, we love having people watch it here. Like we have 5 people watching this right now. And if you have movie recommendations, leave it in the comments section down below.
Yeah, we definitely always take a look at that when concerning stuff going up too. But yeah, the whole plan here obviously is getting up to about that 1,000 subscriber count and up on our hours and relaying out our schedule as far as maybe trying to get some more content out there too. And of course, planning a little bit more in the future. So we try to keep it general as far as like the TV stuff, experimenting with that. And then of course, the Tuesday nights, mostly action type movies, but we will do a lot of different things. But we do want to cover a lot of it. And it's interesting because I like to talk about not just the movie, but how it compares to what was going on at the time. So someone like Pixel wasn't, even born and yet has absolutely no idea how big Sinatra was even in the 80s and how, the influence, say, on Joe Piscopo and everything else there too. So something I didn't even bother talking about because it only applies for the old timers. And it makes it always fun because we have no idea what you guys are going to say or bring up or what made it feel good and make you enjoy it too. Because ultimate movie can be great, like Excalibur, and you'd be like, man, fuck, that's a good movie. But you're not going to sit there, go, I can't wait to go and watch it again and again and again and again. Whereas Dead Heat, every now and then, you're like, man, I want to watch something weird. Let me put this on. And that's really, I think, the movies that you're going to go to, regardless of how technically crafted they are. There's a lot of movies that are well made, but absolutely suck and aren't fun at all. And God knows we see enough of those currently. So I'd like to, of course, thank RDV and Professor Pixel for joining me tonight here, as well as all you guys here on the Xtreme Movie Show. Look for us Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. To be determined at this point here. We're going to discuss it here offline and see where it takes us. Until then, guys, have a good night. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. As always, stay extreme.
Pleasant dreams.